Yeah, hey, this is Martin John. We are back to talk more about the Tao Te Ching. Chapter 14 is next. This is a great chapter. Hidden in Plain Sight is what I titled it. And we're going to be talking about how everything is obviously Tao, and yet we are so wed to the manifestation and separation that we can't see it. So yeah, let's get into this and see what we have. Look, and there is nothing to see. Listen, and there is nothing to hear. Reach, and there is nothing to grasp. These three nothings come together, they combine and are one. This is a mystery and cannot be named. It is present within all manifestation and is forever returning to nothing. So subtle it cannot be identified, so conspicuous it is never hidden. Consider a time before history to show you how to yield. You cannot know it, you cannot prove it, but still you can be doing it. You are using it right now, but for what? I like how this one ends with that, but for what? What are you using this for? What are you using this connection to all things for? Are you, I talked to my nephew once about what you do every day is what you practice. Are you practicing to be bitter and mean? And are you practicing to have all of these, others do what you want or complain? Or what is it you're practicing to do? These last couple lines where it says you cannot know it, you cannot prove it, I put in parentheticals. You cannot know if you're doing it. You cannot prove that you're doing it, but you can still be doing it. You're using it right now, but for what? What is this doing that I'm talking about? It comes right after. Consider a time before history to show you how to yield. So what we're saying is you cannot know if you're yielding to this, to Tao. You cannot prove that you're yielding to Tao, to the guidance of Tao. But still, you're doing it no matter what. You can't not do it. I think we talked once in one of these episodes about the idea that your free will is really just your ability to tell stories. I mean, there's other things involved, but that's one of them, right? Your ability to tell stories about how your ego is part of this. And so this isn't your life, right? Like this is your life in collaboration with Tao. You're here to experience this for the bigger picture, for Tao. And this is where this is starting to come from. So let's start to wrap this together. Look, and there is nothing to see. Nothing. Listen, and there is nothing to hear. Reach, and there is nothing to grasp. These three nothings come together, combine, and are one. Now, one of the interesting things about this verse and consciousness and the study of consciousness and how people express consciousness, there's a lot around the idea that if you bring parts together, and you come up with something that is greater than the parts you brought together, right? Because we have a brain and we have eyes and we have a mouth and we have a heart and lungs and all these things. But there is something more here than just the parts. A car, there's nothing more than the parts, really. The car is not going to be anything, except Christine, I suppose. But that's a book, old movie, I don't know. But if it doesn't have more than what you put in, then it's not conscious, right? It's just what you put in. And that's what this is talking about. Look inside, and there's nothing to see. It's just you, right? Listen to yourself and try and grasp and reach for something. There's nothing to grasp, nothing to hear, nothing to see. But you bring these things together. You bring this life together, these experiences, these senses together. Those things that you're looking at, the things that you're hearing, the things that you're reaching for. When you bring those together, there's more there. In a person, in an animal, in everything. There's just more. And when you bring those together, they combine and are one, right? Like you can't see the connection between you and I. You can't hear the connection between you and I. You can't grasp the connection between you and I, but there is one because I can see you I can hear you and I can grasp you, and you can do the same with me. And we are one. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that is Tao. That's consciousness. And that's like what the study of consciousness has been kind of focused around for a while. This is the mystery and cannot be named, right? Like there's a mystery to consciousness. It cannot be named. We're trying to find it desperately because we want this to be a clockwork world. We want to be just like, oh, put this here and put this here, and then we understand life. That's our storytelling that's going on. I mean, maybe we'll be able to do that someday, but it's gonna, like, our minds have to expand beyond what we currently have. It is present within all manifestation and is forever returning to nothing. So this idea, this mystery is present within all manifestation. So if it's manifest, it's present within it, even if it's inanimate, because the only way that it could be manifest is by these things coming together to create. Right? Even a bottle of water, right? That is manifest through the creation and through the energy and mind of people and animals and whatever else, right? Animals, like, there are animals that are living that are experiencing being caught and like suffocated by plastic. There are experiences that those animals are having to go through for the whole of existence. Not that it's not sad and we want to stop it. Of course, all of those things, it's wonderful to do that, right? But we have to recognize that we're all on a path, and that path isn't necessarily within our control, because we are all one. We're part of one system. Just like some of our cells are going to get scratched off, right? Some of us, that's going to happen too. So subtle it can't be identified, so conspicuous it is never hidden. It's right here. And if you pay attention to the subtlety of every moment, you will quickly see that, like, there's more here. There's a lot more here than just parts. There's connection. Like, you and I have a connection, and that connection is deep, and we can feel each other, and we can kind of be here together. Those are the great things about each moment, is that we're connected. And that connection is deeper than just you and I, because it's something other than you and I. But it's not, because it's like the you and I is the ego, I mean, but because it's our Tao connection. That's the thing that's bringing us together. That's the thing that's holding this space. And when I sit here and I hold my solar plexus and I can feel you, like, with me, right? Like, that is the thing that really makes life, again, it's obvious. And that's the thing. So subtle, it can't be identified. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I do feel you, but so conspicuous, it is never hidden. I can feel it all the time. Like, whenever I look for it, there it is. It can't be seen. It can't be identified. It can't be explained, but here it is, and I can feel it, and I know it. Weird. Hidden in plain sight. Consider a time before history to show you how to yield. What does that mean? What is history? History is traditionally, and this is what I use as a definition, defined as when we started writing shit down. Consider a time before anything was ever written down to show you how to yield. If nothing was ever written down and you just lived your life, there was no right, wrong, there was no history, there was no past, there's nothing. There was nothing. It's like just whatever this is. There's no famous people, there's no corporation, no products, there's no nothing. All it is this is what it's asking. Consider a time before history to show you how to yield. Consider a time before anything was written down, before any rules at all. You cannot know it. You can't know what it means to do that, because we have history. You cannot prove that you can do that. You can't prove that you can be in a space that you can really yield to Tao and to what you are. Because Then it was so subtle, but they didn't have so many things distracting them, like stupid videos like this, right? Like they had just being, and they were connected to that being. They were connected to that. They were connected to that moment, each moment. They weren't worried about the past. They weren't worried about collecting things. They weren't worried about knowledge. They were just being. Consider a time before history to show you how to yield. You can't know it. You can't prove it, but still you can do it. And you're using that now. You're using that energy right now. But for what? All of that energy that people would sit with and feel and hone and direct and move. What are we using it for? Candy Crush? Shooting games? I mean, I just took a flight from Virginia, and there were all these Navy kids, all these Navy kids that were getting on the plane. Each and every one of them was shaking their leg and on their phone. I couldn't help but just feel sorry for the anxiety and the addictions that they're holding and don't even really recognize it because they're constantly pacifying with stuff. But it's here still, right? Tao is here within us, and it's hidden right here in plain sight. Of course, it's not hidden because it's in plain sight, but the manifestation has helped us not see it, helped us look past it. And so that's number 14. I really appreciate you guys joining me for Tao of the Day, or for the Tao Te Ching. And we're kind of going through Tao of the Day as a show I do on the Wisdom app, if you're interested in joining me there. But that's not what this is about. This is just me going through my Tao. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, keep recovering yourself.